What's going on, traders? It's Ricky with TechBot Solutions. So thank you guys again so much for joining us for another recap on today's trading. I'm going to give it a couple minutes for everyone to start tuning in live. But again, if you guys don't know already and want to, in a sense, kind of tune in every Monday through Friday for these daily recaps. Pretty much what these videos consist of are me sharing my best practices and my mistakes in effort to promote growth. So we started this $1,000 challenge, and it's this challenge that I started for a majority of our members within TechBot Solutions. So we're currently sitting a little bit over 13,000 members worldwide. And the thing that we do best within TechBot Solutions is sharing best practices and sharing mistakes in effort to promote growth. So the link is provided for you down below if you guys want to be a part of this free networking group. But what we do so well with this $1,000 challenge is we provide you with a growth sheet so you can stay on track to hit your goal from $1,000 to $20,000. And again, this is just the template so you guys in a sense can get a better understanding on how to stay on track. But if you're starting with $100, starting with $500, you're starting with 5,000, 10,000, whatever it is, it gives you a little access bar that you can actually change from 1,000 to whatever the actual account value you have. You put the number of days that you're going to be day trading, and then you want to see and then you adjust or tweak the percentage growth per day. So I have 2.33% growth per day, 3 days a week. 4 times, obviously a month, and then with $1,000, we would see a $1,000 to $20,000. Simply, 2.33% growth a day, 3 days a week, and you'll be going from $1,000 to $20,000, and that is the power of compounding interest. So overall, very exciting day. I was trading this morning with a couple of buddies of mine. So Sergio in the back, Chance came over, and then I'm sure you guys know him as well. He came out in a couple of my videos. His name was Jeremy Bo, right? But overall, we were day trading. They jumped into AMD, and I jumped into AMD, jumped into DRYS, and I jumped into Snapchat. The only one that I'm red in right now, I haven't sold, but that's Snapchat. And I'm going to be talking about my whole thought process and kind of talking about it. But overall, I do want to congratulate everyone that did so well today. There were thousands of dollars that were made so quickly, and it was because of the specific stock. Remind me again, Sergio, what it was.
MTBC.
Right? Yeah, so MTBC currently is up 69%. Overall, again, that is not... That's one that we talked about in our Sunday stock talk. That is obviously not my style of trading, and that's simply because I'm more of a technical trader and not a momentum trader. But for all those that were able to lock in the profit, huge congratulations to you. And we're definitely going to be getting someone within the TechBot Solutions team to be a group leader that is more of a momentum trading. That's something that we're actually working on because I know my style of trading is not always going to best fit your guys' needs because not everyone's going to be a technical trader. That's why we have swing traders, and that's why we have momentum traders. And that's going to, we're going to continue growing our overall leaderboard with certain traders that promote, in a sense, a welcoming environment, just like we do with TechBot Solutions, that can in a sense accommodate the type of trader you are. So I hope you guys are excited for that. Let me go ahead and get right into the recap. I'm going to talk to you about the 3 trades that we're looking at today. I haven't sold all of them just yet, but I'm currently up a little bit over 2.5% growth, but I do have my stop losses set. Go ahead and start showing you. And thank you guys again for putting time aside, dedicating to watching the recap. So this is pretty much DRYS. Right now we're sitting at $1.16. This was actually a call out during pre-market hours. I called it out during pre-market hours that it had a support at 120. And the reason that I called out the support at 120 was obviously because of this, bounce that it had at 120 and the resistance that it had at 140. So as it's starting to come down and breaking below the support of, 130, which was the previous support, where is it expected to hit? Well, usually it's 120. I was meeting up with Jeremy and Chance, and luckily it fell below 120, and I caught it at the bounce at 112, and that is realistically what I was focusing on. So I knew that the bounce was at 111. So again, I set up a plan, and pretty much this was my plan. So this is where is it? Right here. This is pretty much the checklist that I created for you guys. So everyone within the TechBot Solutions group chat or Facebook platform, you guys simply have to go to the Facebook platform and search here, and then it's the Prime Berry Fix. So you just search for it, and then it should populate right here with this checklist. So go ahead and download it, and then you'll have access to this checklist. And pretty much what I did was DRYS, the price was at 112, support was at 111. Again, that was where it bounced. Resistance was at 120, and the reason I knew it was at 120 because, like we know, old supports, as in, oh man, let me go a little bit further back for you guys. Like we know old supports become new resistance levels, and since we knew the I just have to zoom out. Since we knew that the previous support was at 120, we knew that was going to be a resistance, and that played out just as planned. A lot of traders have already locked in their profit, so great to you. And it created almost this, just cup, and that's really what we were looking for from the 111 bounce to the 120. Doesn't mean that you have to have gotten into that 111, but as long as you indicated upward momentum and you got in at a good price point, then that's the whole idea behind it. So congratulations to you guys. But yeah, I set up my plan, and the resistance was at 120 stop loss. I put it originally at 109. My max stop loss was going to be at or $15 loss, again with this $1,000 challenge. The purchase price that I bought in it at was at 112. Target sell price was at 120. Max stop loss when I ended up changing it to 1.109 as I saw that it was holding above 113. And then the percentage risk, it calculates it for you. So again, you don't have to touch these white little boxes because this is where some formulas are at. And it calculates my risk at 0.98% and my percentage growth for profit from 112 to 120 to 6.6%, which is nearly my week's worth of profit with one single trade. And it really comes down to planning, sticking to your plan, and not being greedy, right? So locking in the profits at 120. I had my limit order set at 120. I didn't get filled myself. There was a couple of traders that did end up getting filled, and that's great. But I'm going to end up changing my order once I start seeing upward momentum at 1.199. And that's really just it. So that's my trade with DRYS. I identified potential, I set up a plan, and then I executed. That's one of the things that we always talk about, first learn, plan, and then execute. If you're just jumping into something for no apparent reason, then you're most likely going to see more red days than you will green days. Now with the next one is Snapchat. This is the only one that I'm currently down on, and it's not by much. I'm in at 2240. I ended up buying a little bit more when it was at 2230 since I thought it was actually going up. But overall, I'm not seeing a huge loss since, again, I'm trading with the $1,000 and I put a little bit into everything. So not seeing much loss. But pretty much the overall support that it saw was at 2225. So it bounced there twice. So from 22.25, hit a resistance here about 22.40, and then again hit that same support at 22.25. So what does that mean? Well, that means that's a strong support. Where's a good sell point? Where it looks like 240 is ideally a good sell point, or anything around, let's say, from the 238 to 240, since it seems like it's struggling to go above that point. Again, remember to use your RSI indicators to indicate when it's being oversold. So you can see that this little red just line is showing that the RSI is getting to the price point where closer to that 70, which is in a sense signaling that it's overbought. So that's just an indication that I can use almost to, in a sense, cut my losses or just to lock in whatever it is that I have on this one. And then the last one was AMD. I think we did very well with the planning. I am still on this one, and it's actually at 1355. Germany had a very funny scenario, and I'll talk to you guys about that in just a bit. But pretty much we identified the support at 1335, and you might ask, how is it that we identified this? Again, none of this happened yet, right? We're really just looking at once the market opened, and the reason I identified that is I always look at pre-market hours. And during pre-market hours, the support, the bounce, it held above 1335. So I thought that was a good buy point. That's initially where they bought, and I waited a little bit longer, and it broke below that support. And then what's the next support? So the next one was, again, during aftermarket hours based on Friday, it held above 1330. And that's initially when I bought, and then I bought in a little bit more when it started to go down. I averaged out to 1329. And that was great. It had a support at 1325. That's where it bounced, and it bounced there twice. So what could I have done better? What could me and Germany have done better, and Chance as well, is that we could have waited more for this upward momentum. We bought in and trying to get at the lowest point when we could have actually waited for the bounce and been a little bit more patient for our entry point to actually be more of a solid bounce. But overall, again, not much. Again, this is a $13 stock. So for us to see huge losses wouldn't be, very, very realistic. We knew that where we were going to cut our losses, and that was at $13.15. And the reason that would be was because if you go back, a couple of days, you can see that the previous support was at $13.16. So I would cut my losses anything below that, just because it's almost unknown territory. And it also looks like an old resistance as of back here. So that's what I identified as a new support. Now it's peaking out. It looks like it's probably going to peak out around where it's at right now, just because of the old resistance. So if you guys see right here, let me change the settings. And you can see that it peaked out during once the market opened at this point, and it's doing just that. So again, previous trends just repeating themselves. Now let me talk to you about what happened with Jeremy. He wasn't initially going in with much, and I really just wanted him to understand the principle of locking in profits. And again, that's the whole point of this $1,000 challenge. It's being consistent and being realistic, and understanding that it's better to lock in, in the green than to cut losses and waste the day trade, right? So he was already up. He bought in at 1335. He was up at 1344. There's a resistance at, as you guys can see, it was just a constant resistance at 1345, and it was not breaking. It dropped almost below 1340, so that was a little scary. But then it went back up to 1344. I promise you not, like I'm not kidding. He sold, and 2 seconds later, this green candlestick popped up, and we were cracking up because it would never break this resistance. And this happened so many times, not just to him, but to myself. And it's a very common thing. But again, realistically, he did the wise thing. He locked in his profits, and you never could have, really predicted that it was going to break. It could have, taken a dip, and now I would have been in the red. So overall, that's something that you always want to make sure you keep in mind. Lock in your profits, stay consistent, and stay realistic. Right now, it's hitting that resistance at 1355, 13. So I'm probably going to end up having to sell soon. But that's pretty much it, guys. Again, I do want to make sure that you guys are aware that once you guys get into the TechBook Solutions, once you guys click on the link down below, there's going to be this top pinned post for all those that are going to be asking where are the links to join the group chats. They're all right here. Right now, the pre-market movers is full. I'm going to have to reach out to GroupMe so they can expand that limit. But you have to agree to the rules, and then you can join whatever group chat you want once you get accepted to the team. All right, guys, and that's really just it. I can't thank you guys enough again for putting time aside, and I hope my breakdown and my whole thought process and explaining why it is that I traded this series of different stocks makes sense to you. You guys did an amazing trade with the different stocks that you guys were trading, and you guys were so supportive with one another, and that's what I love to see, right? Locking in profits, that's a great thing. But when you have a supportive community that even in your worst days, you can, reach out to, and they're always there to assist you, I think that's really what's going to motivate and keep one another motivated and disciplined to continue, in a sense, this growth that we're trying to achieve and the success that we can really achieve together. But overall, I can't thank you guys enough. If you guys can like and subscribe, we'd greatly appreciate it. We upload daily recaps like these Monday through Friday in a helpful video every day, Monday through Friday at 5:30 Mountain Standard Time. So watch out for that. We are starting a new segment that's going to be the making of a millionaire, and that's going to be every Saturday, and then our Sunday stock talks, which are Sundays. So we have a nice little schedule set up. So I hope you guys are ready for this upcoming week. I'm super excited for this week. We're starting the week off on a green note. And again, the best way to do it is, planning or learning, planning, and executing. I can't thank you guys enough. Hope you guys have an amazing week. And like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take care, guys.